of sometimes you might hear something that feels like Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky. Working with him really got me thinking about the power of listening and the space between the notes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Freddie Ravel. I cannot suppress my excitement of having you as my guest, as our guest today. And you're from your New York studio, I think, and it's early morning at your end.
Early morning.
Let me introduce you very, very briefly, because I think music is kind of better introduction than my words in the not very sometimes correct English. But you people know you as a communication expert. And I thought,
yes.
Well, he's a musician, what sort of communication expert? And then a business facilitator, business visionary. That was another definition. And then I've learned about you that you actually were playing with the top world-known musicians. And in fact,
yes.
some bands which I was listening while in former Soviet Union, when you couldn't buy records. And I think some sailor was bringing those records to me. And one of the bands I loved was Earth, Wind and Fire.
Of course.
Fantastic. And you were playing with them. And you
yes.
were playing with Carlos Santana. And you were playing with
yes.
Madonna. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Exactly.
And, you were involved in this production of the movie. And then Prince, and then many other people. I mean, I really, so you've been around. And then you combine somehow your music, your feel for passion for music with something which seems to be not very compatible. And that is business and communication. And I know that you've done some works with Deepak Chopra, who is the guru, the most known probably spiritual leader in the States. And you've done some work, and I love this, correct me if I'm mistaken, but you said that there is a silence is part of communication as well as music. And I loved it because, we tend to say that meditation is silence between thoughts.
Yes.
Silence between tunes. So there are so many comparisons when you start looking at it. And then you've done many other things, and the book which you've done for Martin Luther King family, and Muhammad Ali works, and Robert Kennedy. And then you've done the program which is called Life in Tune.
Yes.
Life in Tune. And I know a little bit about that program, and I was really, how can I say, not just fascinated. I think it's something which people need now, when our lives and lives of many, many people are a little bit out of tune because of, a little bit. I mean, some people who lost their relatives due to pandemic and the virus, and people lost their jobs, etc. And it's really a lot of chaos in people's life. For a lot of people, it's the hardest time. And now, how life in tune can help when life itself is out of tune, if I may say so. So, Freddie Ravel, lovely to have you here. So I shut up because I tend to talk too much. Please tell us what life in tune is about.
Thank you, Gennady, and thank you for inviting me to be on your wonderful podcast and show here. It is an honor to speak to you all the way there in Kiev, and I happen to be in Los Angeles, by the way, my LA studio. And good morning from Los Angeles, California, everybody. Good morning. We'll send some sunshine to our friends on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
But Life in Tune is really my life's work, Gennady. It was. You mentioned it very well, and thank you for looking up all that information. I've had my life began playing music. I started off on the accordion when I was 7 years old, and I switched over to the piano. My father's side of the family is Russian, German, and Polish. My Eastern European, and my mother is from Colombia, South America. So my music is this blend of sometimes you might hear something that feels like Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky, and then all of a sudden you're in Cuba. So I tend to mix the Latino culture with my Eastern European roots, and a lot of Africa and even a bit of Asia in my sounds. And so after many years of blending music, and I also have a solo career, and we've been lucky to have a #1 song in the United States under my own label. But in addition to that, working with Jarreau, Madonna, Prince, Earth, Wind and Fire, Carlos Santana, all these different artists, I realized that music was much more than just entertainment. We tend to think of music as entertainment, right? I go to a concert, I listen to my headphones on Spotify or iTunes or these kinds of things, but it's way more. We in humanity, the human race, we're only using 1% of what music can really do. If you think about it, music is so old. It's the oldest language in the world. We've been using words, we've been using the written word and the spoken word for approximately 5,000 years, the way we speak right now. But music is tens and tens of thousands of years old. They even found a flute recently, a couple years ago, in a valley in Germany. The flute is made from a vulture's bone. It's a fossil. And they carbon dated it. They looked up, how old is this flute? It's 43,000 years old. So you think about it, we've been using music for tens of thousands of years to communicate about feelings, emotions, connections, love, war, everything you can imagine. And yet, today, in the 21st century, we think of music only as entertainment. So the purpose of Life in Tune is to reveal to the world that music is much more than entertainment. Music is a multitasking power tool, a power tool that can inspire the way we think about connecting and the way we work in harmony or don't work in harmony. It can also be how we choose to stay in rhythm or stay out of rhythm when we're having problems communicating. If we can use the way we communicate and sync it up and be in synchrony, the advancement of human life, the way we work together, the way we move in a progressive way, for example, to get out of a pandemic, to help ease the tension and stress that people have, is a quantum leap from where we are today. So Life in Tune is taking the oldest language in the world, music, and repurposing it to reveal the huge benefits that come from understanding the basics of music. And you don't have to be a musician to understand it.
And
you just have to have listening.
The words come first into our conscious mind and the processed. And because of we have different sort of perception, I think we've got different reaction to the same words. Whereas music, and again, I'm going to something thin ice. I know nothing about that. But I think music goes like smell directly into our heart, into our feelings. And it's more pure communication tool than words.
It is. It is. And the reason is that music has... melodies have a certain emotion to them, you know. I'm on as I speak to you from my studio, I actually have a keyboard. I don't know if everyone can see this.
Yeah, we can see that. Oh.
I'm one of these people where I had to have a keyboard built into my studio so that when I'm having a conversation, I go to the piano to illustrate ideas, right? You know, if we take the famous Turkish March by Mozart, right? Right? If we think about, right? It's only a series of a few notes. But if you go, now we have the left and the right. The left, now the next one. Now we have the center. It's almost as though here's one idea, here's the second idea, and here's the conclusion of that idea. Mm-hmm. And Mozart did it that way. First idea, second idea. So left, right, center. Now, he was thinking in a very symmetrical way. There's balance. There's the left side, the right side, the center. What do we need in life? We need a left, a right, and a center. We need to hear, human beings tend to think in the number 3. We tend to think of a beginning, a middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. You look at the human face, the left eye, the right eye, the nose, left, right, center. Human beings connect with the beginning, a middle, and an end. The power of 3 is a very well-known idea. Mm-hmm. Music is filled with that, right? We have, by the way, I'm making this up as we go. I'm just being free with you, Gennady. I didn't plan this. I'm being inspired by what you tell me. And I'm doing this in real time, right? But Duke Ellington, the great American jazz big band leader, he has a song that goes like this. Right? Left. Right. Right? There's a balance. There's a left, there's a right, and there's a center. I walk with my left foot. I take my next step with my right foot. And I think about my posture so that I walk straight. The idea is that music is filled with these reminders that help our subconscious mind think about balance, pacing, tempo. And from that idea, Gennady, I decided that it would be good to really, put together a methodology. And the methodology is a book that I'm about to put out called Life in Tune. But maybe to share with your listeners, we can talk about these ideas where you have, the melody, which is very important as the first element of music, and then you have the harmony, right? You have the melody and the harmony, right? Here's our melody. But the harmony is 2 or more notes, right? So melody, harmony, and then of course you have the rhythm. If I don't have any rhythm, it's not going to work. Without rhythm, this could be this. No rhythm. But if we have rhythm, it gives pacing to the melody, the harmony, and the rhythm. And you see, you have to also have this idea that the melody is leading. The melody is where the spotlight is. Harmony is collaboration. It's the series of notes working together to support the leadership of the melody. Rhythm is the timing. If we don't play it right, we have a disaster. It's a disaster.
That is how I would play it now, for example.
Yeah, but think about it. When we are marching to the beat of the same drummer, when you're working with an organization and a company, and you're trying to get your melody, your leadership, and your harmony, your team, and the pacing that your team is doing to work together, it becomes, when everyone's going 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. becomes rhythm.
Right.
And without the drummer, and when I say the drummer, I mean you. And I'm talking to your listeners, Gennady. I'm talking to you personally. I'm talking to my friends in Kiev and my friends all around the world. We need to have structure. What time do I start my day? What are my thoughts? Do I quiet the mind? Which I always do. I always meditate every morning, and then I pursue my to-do list. And that is my tempo. And am I going to be in sync with the other people that I work with? You know, what time are we going to have that phone call? What time are we going to get on Zoom? What time are we going to turn in the report? What time are we going to launch the new business plan? All of those things have to fall into rhythm.
So rhythm
so
of your life.
The rhythm of your life. And that's great, because when you put melody, harmony, and rhythm together, this idea that melody and harmony and rhythm overlap, they can come together. And when they do, we become like the golden conductor. We're able to conduct our life and take control of the melody, harmony, and rhythm of our life. And when this happens, I call this life in tune. And that is the idea that is something that I believe can use the power of music to help people get back in rhythm, because this pandemic has put everyone out of rhythm. The whole world is trying to find the drummer. What do I do? Where's my job? How am I going to provide for my children and my family? What does this mean if we can't socially interact directly? Well, I think what it means is that we have to find ways to connect on a deeper level. And the pandemic is actually, there's two sides. There's a side of it that's been very tragic and very painful. And I've lost friends and family with COVID. My sister is a nurse. My cousin is a respiratory therapist, both in California. They are on the front lines every day with this. So this has been very impactful to my life on a personal level. At the same time, one thing that the pandemic has taught us is how to be silent, you know, and we were talking about the power of listening, right? You know, if you think about listen, the word listen is Listen. But if you rearrange the letters around, you get Silent.
That's incredible.
The same letters of listen equal silent. And Gennady, when you were introducing me earlier, you said, Freddie, you know, you talk about the space between the notes, right? You talk about the silence. And that's what's so important. Because music without silence doesn't work. You have to have balance so that you can hear the left, the right, and the center, right? If I go, but I don't put space, no space. And I just keep playing, and I don't, and I'm sitting here with, like, watch how many notes I can play. And it's a disaster. But if I think about space, all of a sudden, there's an emotion, there's a connection. And the most important thing we can do, Gennady, in humanity, is respect and honor each other. And these are golden rules in every society, in every culture. There's, the idea of do unto others as others do unto you. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. This concept, these are ancient principles of being a good person. But people forget about this. And music is a reminder that the space between the notes, the space between our thoughts and how we respect each other is actually critical to our success, especially in a pandemic world that we're in right now. And not only that, we got climate change. We have all kinds of challenges with the supply chain and food supply and millions of others of issues. But I am very positive that we will find our way through this. And when we get on the other side of this, we will have a whole new level of empathy, compassion, and understanding that the planet, we're all in this together. And music has always been the leading force in helping people understand that.
That's absolutely beautiful. And if I may continue your allegory, I think I can say that now we can create a new melody for mankind, because the old melody really was all right, but I mean the way we've done to our, what we've done to our planet, to our ecology, to our animals, etc. So we have to find new tune, new harmony, and new rhythm, I think, as well. And in fact, new rhythm in pandemic thing. I was on quarantine for like almost 3 months now, and it's like at first it was like, oh, terrible, and now I feel a blessing because I found my own, how can I say, rhythm which is different. I'm much calmer now, no matter that there is no money, no income, but I'm positive because I have health, I have family, I have water, I have shelter, I have a roof over my head, and that's it. What else? And then of course we need more things, but it will come with new melody. And I think this is terrific what you're saying. Really, really. I mean, it's kind of close to my heart, and it's really.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share it with you, Gennady, and to share it with your audience. I've had the privilege of actually being in your country. I visited there in 2007 and played with the musicians in Kyiv, and was interviewed by the local television. And I actually have roots there. I mean, one quarter of my family is from that area, from Kyiv in that region. So it's a privilege. And I think that if we start to reconsider what music can do beyond entertainment and start to look at the way these pieces can help us, we can have breakthroughs that people have never considered, and get there faster, much faster.
Yeah, a lot of breakthrough in science comes from the disciplines which are not related. Like some discoveries in biology comes from mathematics or something, and the same is here probably as well. Music can contribute to creation of new way of life.
Well, what a lot of people forget is, for example, Albert Einstein. A lot of people don't know this, but Albert Einstein was a great violinist.
Yeah.
And he considered, if there's quotes from Albert Einstein where he literally says, I believe that my performance and my understanding of music led to many of my insights. We might not have E equals MC squared if it wasn't for Albert Einstein's connection to music. It helped his brilliance get into what we call emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence combined with scientific and mathematical intelligence, what a combination. That's what allows the human spirit and the soul to magnify. Numbers are important, but there comes a point where mathematics and emotion intersect, and music is actually that combination. Music is very mathematical.
But how come that you discovered that? I mean, you started as a musician, right? How come that you kind of made this bridge to words and business and communication? And obviously, did you have it already when you were in Kyiv in 2007? Did you have it?
I think I was already speaking. I started speaking in the around 1994. Really, you mentioned Deepak Chopra. And Deepak and I became friends around 1993. And he reached out to me and said, I was working with Earth, Wind, and Fire at the time. So I was touring the world with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And he came out to me and he said, Freddie, I would like to write a song with you. And I want to write a song about the space between thoughts. Mm-hmm. Because Deepak's biggest piece was about meditation. And he called it The Gap. The Gap. So we wrote a song called Slip in the Gap. which was about meditation. And working with him really got me thinking about the power of listening and the space between the notes. And as I was illustrating earlier, if you don't have space, nothing else matters. You have to have space, and then you can state an idea. It's so important that we forget about it all the time. It's one of those things that is so subtle, and yet it's the context of life. It literally is contextual for how we live, how we think.
Because when you start creating music, it must be silence first. Right? You can
sometimes
start creating, out of all these tunes which are around. I think you have to make a space for that. I think in your head.
Yeah, I mean, Gennady, I think most people know that when they want to get away and they want to go to, sometimes people go to the beach or they go to the mountains, or they just step out of their house and sit in a park and close their eyes. It's the human spirit saying, hey, please disconnect me from all the madness. I don't want to see the news. I don't want to listen to anything. I want to get still. And in the stillness, new ideas drop into their mind. And the ego is always in the way. You have to shut off the ego, EGO, edging God out. That's another way I think of it. But when I was working with Deepak, that inspired me to go off from music. I said, wait a second. Working about slipping the gap in the space between the notes and realizing that the space is as important as the notes, right? That is the difference between a great musician and a so-so musician. The so-so musician plays a lot of notes. They're trying to show off. The powerful musician uses space. And it's the difference between people receiving your message or going, stop talking, I don't want to hear from you anymore, right? It's the space. So what I've been doing now is for the last 2 decades more, since the mid-90s, I've been going out to Fortune 100 companies all over the world. We've been in 82 countries already with this. And when I speak, I always have a piano with me, just like we do in this conversation, because I can use the music to explain what 1,000 words cannot explain.
Now, because there is a limited travel, and people do not travel because of fear and quarantine and pandemic, can you deliver a message? I mean, you can already. You showed me how, but I know that you have created something which is extraordinary. Which is I've never ever heard anything like that before. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, well, we have a technology that we've been working on, Gennady, and I first did this for an event with a colleague that Mark Victor Hansen here in the United States. We did a presentation that had about 6,000 registrants, and we broadcasted in a Zoom call like we are right now, across the world like we are right now. You're on the other side of the world. I'm here in Los Angeles, you're in Kyiv. And we were able to take a variety of technology, all the way from an orchestra that I had recorded with, and the ability for me to play live with that orchestra and do that. And I can give you a little taste of that. This will give you a little bit of a taste of it, right?
Maybe a couple of minutes just to,
yeah.
It's fascinating how you can tune it and the rhythm as well, considering that still it takes time to get the sound from one place to another. I mean,
yes, I can do. I'll give you a little bit of a taste of it. This is what you are seeing on the screen, and I'll make this a little bigger. This is a venue in California. I'm playing there with a very famous saxophonist and a full orchestra there, an arrangement of Mozart. Mm-hmm. And it's the arrangement that I was using earlier of taking the Turkish march. right? I'm going to pull this out so that you can see the keyboard. And I'll give you a taste of this. What I'm doing is, even though you see me on the video in a white jacket playing the piano is muted on the video so that I can play live with that. And here's what it looks like. And I can still talk to you. And I'm playing. With the orchestra. Like that.
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
It's an exciting time, Gennady, because I have a team in Canada, and I have also one in New York and one in LA, kind of a series of technicians, and we went through all kinds of things to figure out how do we do that. And the biggest challenge is delay, synchronicity.
Right.
So we're just so grateful. I mean, we were praying, how do we do this? Because we're in a pandemic. And like you said, we can't travel right now. But we still want to give people something that can move them emotionally. And at the same time, we want to be able to help add great value to the way they think and to help give them a new optimism, a new way to think about innovation, a new way to think about teams and collaborating, a new way to think about how we produce productivity, synchronicity, structure. So we're taking all these elements of human behavior and linking them with this.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. And obviously in this kind of three circles, you are the melody, right? You are the leader. You're behind it. It's thanks to your creativity and vision you're doing this.
I kind of wear all three hats. But when we present it, what I'm hoping to be able to be is actually the conductor who is using the melody, the harmony, and the rhythm and putting them all together to talk about and to help people become whole in tune. But the melody is the lead. And the way that works is the melody is your passion and your purpose. Every human being has a reason to get out of bed in the morning. They have a purpose and a passion. And if they don't, we need to help them find their melody. And once people find their melody, and it's very important that you know who you are. Many people walk around the world not really knowing what instrument they should play or how they should sing. They're not singing their own melody. But when people know what they're there to do, what they show up to do, I'm here and I'm here to be a worker. I'm here to be a father. I'm here to be a brother to someone, right? Whether it's in a entrepreneurial way or whether it's in a personal way. People have to know where their melody's at. Once you know your melody, I can talk to my friend Gennady on the other side of the world and we can talk about harmony and we can talk about collaboration. But that's not until I know who I am and I understand who you are. And before we had this interview, Gennady, you and I spent some time learning about who we are, that we're fathers, that we're entrepreneurs, that we're also people that care about our contribution, that we're interested in legacy, that we're interested in bringing value to people. And that we are also men who don't see boundaries. We recognize that the human spirit is a universal concept. And it doesn't matter what country, culture, it doesn't really matter where we are. We all have the same needs. And we also have the same challenges. And I think it would be wrong for me to leave this interview without saying something about dissonance. Mm-hmm. Because dissonance, you know, many times you want to play, but you get, I have my melody, but if I don't have my harmony, it's a disaster. And if I don't have my rhythm, that's my discipline and my structure. I can't get out of bed. I can't go from point A to point B. So people have to understand that you need all of these things working for you, and then you can become the golden conductor. And my dream is that, you know how a conductor uses a baton mm-hmm. to conduct? Our dream is that Life in Tune gives everyone their baton. And I believe that all of us, every human being on the planet, has that ability. Once they understand their position, how to contribute and how to create abundance and create better well-being and better health.
Right.
It's in the mind, it's in the body, it's in the spirit. It's all of those things.
It's so wonderful because we know comparison, which I think whether it's Warren Buffett said that we have a brush to paint our life, the way we want, and now it's really we have music to make a song or sound which would resemble and would be in tune and harmony and rhythm. I'm going to talk to John DeMartini
yes.
later tonight, and he is saying about highest values. So very similar, and in fact, the more people I talk to, from different walks of life, from different areas of life, I mean, they're saying basically the same thing. It's the same thing what you just said about harmony and rhythm and melody, and so that's very touching. I'm very emotional, and I'm most grateful to you. Really, I feel that I've. How can I say? For me, it's like 3 sessions on coaching, because I feel that yes, disbalances. Yes, we have to. All of us have some disbalances, but we have to at least to make an effort to move them away and start playing properly in tune with our life.
Yeah, and I want to also say I don't think it's complicated. Mm-hmm. Many people tend to go, oh, how am I going to learn these concepts? How many books do I have to read? Mm-hmm. I want to fast track learning. I want to expedite value. And I think that music will help us get there much faster because it connects our emotional intelligence with our rational, some people say the right brain and the left brain. Mm-hmm. And although I think that's a small way to say it, I think it's emotional, and it's beautiful that you feel emotion because all human beings, we are emotional. We want to laugh, we want to cry, we want to scream, we want to shout, we want to feel it all, and we should feel it all. And I believe that music allows us a context that's scientific and measurable, and at the same time emotional.
Freddie, I'm not saying goodbye because I want to talk to you more. Not now, maybe later on. But thank you very much. I think it's enough information, material, and feelings for time being. But we'll definitely come back. If you don't mind, I'll come back to you and we'll have another conversation like that, and maybe with more music. And so I'm really overwhelmed. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us on behalf of my viewers. Thank you very much for what you do, and please keep on doing a good, fantastic work for people.
My pleasure. Спасибо. I'll talk to you soon.
Пожалуйста. До свидания.